Hi guys, you're in the right place if you want to learn how to draw by understanding what you're looking at rather than breaking things down into shapes. And today I'd like to do another vector drawing, and a special thank you to Andrea Smith for use of your photo today of this white-breasted nuthatch. So you guys, I do want to do some coloring as well. So if you could get a pen that you like, I'm going to use black. And then I'd like you to get 2 colored pencils. So just raid the kids' drawer, you know, nothing fancy, nothing expensive, blah, blah, blah. Just something that, is 2 contrasting colors. So I'm going to use black and blue, but anything that you've got that will give you contrast between the 2 colors, that's all we want to focus on today. So with the colored pencil, for your darker pencil that you choose, whether it's a brown or a green or a purple, it doesn't matter, I want you to be able to get a lighter tone, and we're going to use that for the gray and the shading, and then a heavier tone with a little bit more pressure, which we're going to use to do the darker parts of the bird. And then similarly, see this this denim blue that is so typical of these birds, male and female. Just light pressure to get some of the lighter shading, and then heavier pressure to get some of the darker portions. And then what we're going to be doing with that is toning it deeper by putting the other darker color on top. So actually I just thought that if you had like a green and you're using green and red and whatnot, you might actually be screwing up the tone. So okay, I take that back. If you can find a black at least, that would be great. And then any color to step in for the denim blue would be perfect. So yeah, as a vector drawing, you know, we just want to have our basic shape of the bird. And so let's just start with the head, and see there's a small bump where the feathers meet the bill. So let's just, you know, be mindful of where you start on the page, because we've got some thickness here and some length. So let's just do a small bump for the feathers on the bill, and we're just going to use light pressure on our pen, because once we're happy with our angles and everything, then we're going to deepen these lines. Now we want to have this is the forehead, and we're sloping straight back to the top of the head, and this joint in the neck is quite sharp. So here we've got the top of the head, this is the back of the head, and this is the upper back. So we want to have this very large angle here, if possible. Don't worry about it if you don't have the same kind of angle in your own sketch, because these birds are super duper flexible through that neck. So this is the forehead, this is the top of the head, and right here we're going into the back of the head. And if I behave myself, I'm actually going to end up with a sort of a smaller drawing. Now we're at the upper back. And the wings are along, folded along the back, and then we've got the feathers at the end of the wings, folded here. Now these are kind of chunky birds. They're around in the winter time, so there's a couple of things going on. They're chunky because they're trying to stay warm, and so they're fluffy, but they're also like a little around, bigger than a ping pong ball, maybe about the size of a tangerine, with wings. So just work your way around. And I want you to leave this, all this under the throat and under the chest. We're gonna try something a little bit different today. Now, the head is parallel to the ground here. So when you put your bill out, I would like you to do, for the upper bill, I would like you to do something that intersects the side of your page. We want to have this, because the angle of the bill really dictates the angle of the head. Now, see how this curves down at the end? This is very characteristic, so I would like you to get that curve in there as best you can. So round off the end of the bill, and then take that curve down, and then we want to go straight back in. So these birds enjoy seeds. So they're, well, it's a nuthatch, so, you know, go figure. Okay, so now what I want, because this is a vector drawing, so now what I want us to do is, let's actually do this band. This is the forehead, and this white eye patch is very distinct. So I'd rather you have a larger white eye patch than a smaller one, which means you want to be mindful to have this section narrow on your sketch. The narrow cap, dark cap on the head, around the eye, and then blending in at the back of the head and the upper back. Now, from your bill, we've got this shading here, and it's just because of the way the head is turned as well. So the eye, we're gonna have, I'd rather have it lower than higher. And it's not a perfect circle, and it's not perfectly up and down. Which is good for us, because we're good at drawing not perfect. At least I am. Okay, and let's leave a white area in the eye where the light is catching the lens. That's good for that. So with our vector drawing, we don't want to have too many lines as details, but we do want to capture the essence of the bird, and we're going to put this band from the eye, which blends into this, the cap at the back of the neck. Now, this is the back of the head right here, and this is the upper back. There is a distinction in the color. This is black, this is more like the denim blue. So we don't really need to worry. We can use our colored pencil to define that, but what I would like you to do is mark off this section on the upper back where the colors change. Just use light pressure on your pen. And then here, this is a white patch here, blends into the dark. And we've got distinction here from the eye patch, or the back of the face, the feathers of the face. Now, let's do the shoulder. We're going to have the markings where we've got the distinction between the white. Oh, look how big my white patch is. I have to make this a lot smaller. And then we're getting into the shoulder here. And then we want to take this back. And we've got, just how do we want to do this? I think we can bust up some of the feathers on the wing. And on the back here, we just want to have some of these borders defined. It's a little bit challenging trying to not put in too much detail, but enough detail to distinguish the bird as a nuthatch. So if you can just do some layering with the flight feathers, I think that's going to be just grand. I'm pulling some of these lines, not a lot. Okay, now we'll take the tail up to underneath. I think the tail I did is too fat. I hope yours is a little bit thinner. And then we've got I know I want to leave this blank. That's what I said. Now I'm just wondering if I should change my mind. Okay, let's put in the fluffy bum feathers. Put up to his bum, and then this is the back of his body. And his tummy. So just mind your distance here, because we do want him to be fluffy. And take this width. Just keep your eye on where his shoulder is and what you're doing with his tummy. And then from here, yeah, you know what? I'm changing my mind. Because initially I was thinking that we would do a background to define this, but you know what? That's too much work. That's for next year. Let's go under the chin and just do very light markings for these loose feathers under the throat, and then we've got a bit of a curve for the throat right here. This isn't a straight line, so see how it just curves a little bit. So as long as your line curves a little bit, that's going to be fine, just so that you're showing. This is the underneath the throat, past their throat, and then that angle for the neck. Take that down. And then this is the upper chest here. Feathers are distorted, not all folded nicely, and then we're going straight back. This is the upper chest here and to his tummy. God, he looks way too fat in my sketch. So can you see these big toes right here to grip the bark? And back here, look how big his foot is. All this is the back toe, and this is the claw. So what we'll do is we'll get that back toe. This is too fat here. I'm gonna pull this in a little bit. That's the claw. This is the bottom part of the foot. See, I feel like I've got them too wide here, so I'm turning this into the foot to bring it in a little bit. And then we've got this toe. This is the outside one, and normally it's shorter, but it ends here, and this is claw. This is the long middle toe that ends here, and you can't see the claw because it's down in the bark. Or whatever you decide to do with your own sketch is fine, obviously, but just show that he's got these big, powerful toes and claws to keep himself upside down and secure on the bark. And this is the inside toe, which is and that claw is also in the same portion of the bark as the other one, but I'm just gonna do it like that instead. Now, his other foot is back over here. We don't see it, all right? So we're just gonna leave him like that. Okay, time to fix him up. He's a little bit squat. Could have done them longer. But if you're sort of happy with your sketch, I'm not, but I'm still gonna heavy in my lines. So let's just go through them. Remember, it's a vector drawing, so we're gonna take this opportunity to heavy in our lines. Do our corrections as we go. So we've got the bill defined, the feathers over the nose, top of the head to the upper back. It's okay that this is, you know, our denim shades that we're going to be using our colored pencils on. But we want to go for an outline. And I'm going to make them a little bit longer since I've made them so squat and stubby. I'll also figure out the feathers here. And actually leave some of this as okay in here. Just a few borders if that's all you feel like comfortable doing. No biggie. See how much I can hide with my colored pencil when we get down to our shading. Thumb feathers. And then outline the toes. Now under the throat. So as we have a little bit of a curve in there, that'll be okay. Bring this down. Lift it up. I'm going to change this angle here, just a little bit steeper. And give him a solid foot. And then just basically adding some borders to the feathers on the wing. And then we've got this, just if you like, you can define the area at the back of the head that bumps into the upper back. We'll be doing that with our colored pencil anyway, so it's not critical. White patch around the eye. And just our band, the upper back. I just want to have like some borders put in, and then we've got the shoulder. Almost done, almost done, almost done. Okay. God, it's tricky, eh? Figuring out where to stop with your vector. Okay, he's definitely plump. But are you kind of happy with your sketch and the definitions that you've done? Oh, see, I'm taking too long. What else is new? Okay, I really think that should be it. Enough dicking around, and that's actually like a lot of lines for vector drawing. So, maybe like we've kind of, because I've done the toe like this, showing we're kind of committed to putting the tree. I think that'll do. It'll do. Okay, great. Now, I know my lines aren't very clean, but if you're happy with what you've done with your own lines, perfect. What I'd like to do now is spend some time coloring them up. So let's begin with our black. And as usual, even though we're just using cheap stuff, I want you to use light pressure and the side and keep turning it in your hand. We're just going to go through and get some base markings down. This is actually denim on their head. Really great denim blue, but we're just wanting to get down our first layer and then a couple of patches on his back where we've got the black. Doesn't have to be super detailed, don't stress about it. But don't go nuts though, because you can, you gotta leave some of those white tips on the feathers, the ends of the feathers. Okay, just wherever you see some black on the bird, just light pressure and get that down. A little bit off the shoulder. And since we've got our black in hand, let's also use it as our gray. So we're going to do some shading around the face and in front of the eye, onto the bill, and coming back where these feathers, where the bill goes into the face. I tried doing a video this morning, but there was so much glare and reflection. Oh, I'm trying to keep my face out of this tablet that I couldn't get anything set up. I was so frustrated. So now it's much later in the afternoon and I feel like we're almost racing against the sunset. See how big this patch is that I did on my sketch? It's way too big. Way too big. I'm going to pull this in a little bit and pull this out a little bit. Anyway, we're just doing our shading. So where you see the gray, and of course this is shaded because it's in shadow. So shade up his tummy. And we're only using 2 colors, so we don't have a tan to do this at the back, but we do know it's in shadow as well, and it's colored, so we'll just darken that a little bit. Now this is just our preliminary layer of color, light pressure. Okay, now let's switch to our blue, and since the head is a denim with some black in it, we're going to put this through on his head. Oh, actually, now that the light is dropping, you can see some better contrast. The shading, this upper back is lighter, and then we're coming into darker tones around the side of his body. And just be careful with the amount of pressure that you apply, because you don't want to commit to something really deep. All over, and then you can't get the depth that you need in other places. Let's see how pale this is here. So just make sure you just leave some of that lighter. Let's use a little bit of tone on his toes. I just want to use both colors to get a little bit of depth. Let's go back to our black. Is your spare hand all nice and relaxed? Are you clenching your jaw? If so, just put your colored pencil down and loosen up your neck. Touch your left ear to your left shoulder, your right ear to your right shoulder. Loosen up. Any tension that you have in your body is going to translate to your artwork. Darken up in front of the nose and then past the eye. And remember, we're using crappie pencils and we're only using scrap paper, so we're not going to be able to achieve the actual depth and detail that we normally would if we were using our good stuff. But I'm going to keep this, but the lesson is the same. So I'm just using pressure. I'm rotating the pencil in my hand. It's good. Using a little bit of extra pressure where I want to have, and instead of going back and forth, I'm picking up the colored pencil. And some depth around the eye as well. And we want these feathers off the bill to come further back into his face. Now, if we were using our pen, this kind of detail would be a little easier to get. But this is all part of learning how to do a vector drawing, the basic outline, and then you can practice coloring them up. I think you guys like the vector drawings because some of those videos on my channel are getting more views than the others. So instead of 5 views for a sketch, I'm getting 7 on a vector drawing with colored pencil. No, it's not that bad, but it feels like it. That's all right. This is good practice for me. Now see how this is denim, but I'm using the black because I want to get some of these. I want to use both colored pencils to get the tone in there. Shade his tummy and the upper chest. Are you clenching your teeth? If so, just open your mouth, move your jaw around, loosen up. This is supposed to be relaxing and enjoyable. I feel like you and I have paid our dues with all the anxiety and the tension of all those initial videos. So now we've earned our time to sort of just not worry as much and enjoy what we create, even if no one else does. Keep turning your pencil in your hand. See, I haven't sharpened it. Even when I was starting the video, thinking about, well, when I was getting set up and I found my, these pencils, I thought I should sharpen it, but it's like, no, that's not the right thing to do. You just Because if you have expensive pencils, trust me, you're not sharpening them. Because every time you do, you're wasting that very expensive core that's made of color, light fast materials. So just keep rotating it in your hand. Obviously, we're not going to be able to get the, like I said, we're squishing all the contours in our crappy paper, so we're not going to be able to get our depth. Of color, but that's okay. Just keep going over it, rotating your, see, I think these are basically too smooth now. This is a little bit lighter. It's a bit gray. Okay, so let's put our black down, and we're going to layer with our blue and see if we can darken up a couple areas, not too heavy. Out the shoulder here. Gosh, I really like these, the way the sun has gone down and made this nice and dark. If it's nighttime, by the time we're finished, we're gonna have like terrific sketches. Until the light goes on. And keep his back nice and just very, very light pressure for his back, because it is denim in tone. It's not white, so we got to put something down. Oops. Oh, look at me, dropping everything. Not coordinated. I'm just really wanting to push this to the side and focus on toning them up as much as I can. And you know, if you need to use your pen to sort of like correct or define some of these other areas, like that's legal as well, okay? Everything goes. Everything is a-okay. Well, you know what? Gosh, I don't like him. How about that? Not the first time that's happened, but anyway. Just wish I could clean him up a bit more. How's yours? Are you happy with what you're doing? Oh, we forgot to color in his little toes. Okay, don't make them just solid. Well, they are in shadow. I don't know, he's not too bad. If I wait an hour when it's really black out, I want to get my eraser and get rid of this. I better hurry up because it's getting darker and darker. Where's my little watch? It's 5. If you're doing what I'm doing and coloring in the tree trunk, just make it nice and dark underneath the bird. Where you'd be casting a little bit of a shadow. This is also a good way to sharpen your colored pencil because I'm just using the same edge to do this shading, which means that when I'm done, if I rotate it, I'm gonna have like a bit of a point. Now remember, it's your sketch. You do what you like. Where he needs to be darkened and defined. You know, it's kind of like frustrating when you just can't get the depth that you want. But that's kind of like that's secondary truly for a vector drawing, because you can use, if you're comfortable doing the outline of the bird, you're happy with your the profile, then you can use you know, colored pencils like we have today, or you can use your pan pastels. You can use paints to get that depth of color. There's all sorts of ways to do the tones and whatnot that you want. The critical piece is the profile and getting the actual anatomy of the bird down the way you like. That's what's important. And if you can nail that, then how you color them up and define them, that's totally up to you and how you'll be able to manage it. Why is he so, I don't know, this is like, it's not bad. Maybe I take it back that I don't like him. put it this way, I've done way worse. Just go back in my video history and you'll have the proof of that. So see how we're using both colored pencils to get some different tones here, just to deepen the navy through the shoulder. Okay, how does he look on the video? He's not too bad. You know what? I think that's kind of like all we can do with, we've done the best that we could with what we've got. And that's fine. So you can keep messing around, or look how white this is here and it shouldn't be. I'm just toning that down a little bit, but still have good definition between his wing and his bum feathers. That'll do. See how the paper's not picking up any more tone? It's because it's crappy scrap paper and it's all been squished, so there's no contours, there's no texture left in the paper to pick up more color. So that's a good enough reason to stop. So as usual, thank you so much for your company. I hope your sketch is a little better than mine, but that's usually the case, I'm sure. So, okay, you guys, take care. I'll see you next time.